So I think we all can agree, or at least some people can agree with me, that being poor in The Sims is way more fun than being rich. Because when you realize that you are rich in The Sims, you have everything to you, but when you're poor, the world is your oysters and you can try different things that you probably have not done before. And so most of the time, my Sims are always poor and they can't really afford a big giant house that they deserve. And so I wanted to build a ready to move in base game mansion on a 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek because personally, I think my Sims deserve a big house without having to have the burden of affording all the furniture and also the bills on top of it. So only the kitchen and the bathrooms are only furnished for your Sims. And so that is what we're doing today. And I think I did a really good job on this mansion because normally I do not build big houses because they scare me and give me a lot of anxiety. So when I built this mansion, I was trying to find a happy medium between affordable but also fancy and luxurious because normally when you see big giant mansions in The Sims, they're really expensive with all these lights, all this landscaping, all this furniture that's so out of your Sims budget that they just look at it and scream and cry and pour, which is, the same. Because IRL, there's a lot of mansions out there that are really, big and fancy and really cool. But when you step on the inside, there's literally nothing in there because it's ready to move in for you to move in with your own furniture that you have. So I wanted to keep it very relatively small when it comes to the furnishing. So I only did the kitchen and the bathrooms because I felt that was very realistic. Because we all play The Sims in a different way and we all furnish and build in a different way as well. And so I did want to give you all the opportunity to build and kind of add on different things to your own liking. Like if you didn't want a room here, you could just demolish the walls and make the room bigger or smaller or add more bedrooms and just kind of do what you want. And so I think I added in at least 4 bedrooms and maybe 3 or 4 or 5 bathrooms. I really do not know because it's been about like a year since I've looked at, this footage, but I did come back at a later date, like around 2022, a couple weeks ago, IRL, to start furnishing the kitchen and doing the layout and doing the flooring because the flooring was empty, the walls were empty, there was nothing of the sorts of like wallpaper of anything because I just didn't think it just suited it very well with it just being blank. And I wanted to come back and show people that I can finish builds even after a year or two and really stick to my guns and commit to my building skills. And I don't really build big mansions, nor do I build big houses because I get a lot of anxiety and I get really scared because big houses have too much space. And I'm like, where do I start? What do I furnish? How's this room going to look? Because I do plan out all of my rooms based on like the size and the general like idea that I have. Like I know how big I want a kitchen, I know how big I want a living room or a bathroom, and I go from there. But like when I look at it, I'm like, what do I do? How do I continue my build from here? So I don't furnish big mansions ever again. The last mansion I had built was probably, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I had built a big, giant, large countryside mansion in Brindleland Bay. And I believe it cost maybe 600,000 simoleons, somewhere close to 1 million simoleons at that point. I really do not know. But if you want to watch that video, I will link it down below in the description because I think that was like one of my favorite mansions that I built. Minus like, this one and then the other one that I built when Get Famous came out. Now, I think that honestly, when you're building houses, you got to think of 3 things: layouts, flooring, and wallpaper. Because when you lay out your build, it's like, okay, I have all this done. But then also when you're figuring out your wallpaper, it's like, okay, this is what each room is. When you figure out the kitchen wallpaper with the tiles, you figure out the bathrooms. And it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Simple, easy, and ready to go. Now, I don't really have like a general idea of who's going to live here because there's no sim that I have made yet to really live in this said mansion. And I remember I was watching, oh gosh, who was I watching when I was building this at this time? I think I was watching my friend Sydney, who had built like a mansion, like generally like this size of a mansion one time. And it was like a video that I watched. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to build a mansion now. And so I built this. I'm like, wait, this is actually kind of fun. I don't know. I think for me, I build in like very sporadically, and so none of my building style makes sense to literally anything. But since I'm making a save file, I wanted to make sure the style of the homes, like on the exterior, was similar to the ones in the surrounding area. And this was actually the first mansion that I looked at, and I'm like, wait, there's another one next side to it that looks very similar. And I'm like, let's keep it the same way and make it, make sense. If someone moves in, they have their home, they can have neighbors, they can have, pool parties because the next neighbor has a pool and they don't. So it's like a win-win scenario when you really think about it. Now, I don't think the house next to this house, I don't think I actually ever furnished it whatsoever. I really do not remember. And like I'm telling you, I have a very bad memory when it comes to building. Like sometimes I look at this footage, I'm like, what am I doing? How did I do this? When did this happen? When did that happen? I don't understand. And so I'm like, this is all foreign. But I think I made sense of it in the end when I came back to it like late, in the next coming year. But I remember I did add in one master bedroom, and then I also added in, I believe, one, I think maybe a kid's room, a teen room, and then like a toddler room or something like that. So I think 4 bedrooms, but we'll see that at the end of the video when I do the real time tour of everything so you can see it all come together. Now, I remember when we had got Vintage Glamour, we were introduced with butlers, and I'm like, wait, butlers are so cool for mansions and like rich Sims who can afford them. Because essentially the butlers live on the premises in sometimes IRL. Sometimes IRL butlers, they live on the premises of the home or they have their own home, they come back and forth. But there's a show called The Nanny, and I love The Nanny, and the show's just like funny in all ways. And Niles, the butler, he lives on the premises of, Mrs. Sheffield's home, and so does Fran live on the premises as well, who's the nanny. And now we don't have live-in nannies. We have nannies in The Sims 4, but they just come and go whenever they want to. And I find that when you're having a butler, you can just have them live here on the outside and in front of the home. They come as they go. They have a big space. And I didn't really actually do anything to the butler's quarter because at the time I wasn't thinking of it. And when I came back to it, I still wasn't thinking of a butler. At the time, I was thinking of more of it as a recreational fake garage, doing whatever you want really. So if you end up having to download this build, which is on the gallery if y'all want to download it, but also if you do have Vintage Glamour and you want to add a butler, you can just add the walls to that little side house over there and call it a day. There's no bathroom in there, however, but you make do. You make do. We all do. I'm pretty sure this house, the house next door, and the house in Brindleton Bay are the 3 out of the 4 mansions that I built. No, I've built 4. I've built 4 mansions. This one, the one next door, the one in Delso Valley, and the one in Brindleton Bay are 4 mansions that I have built with butlers and maid quarters. But this one's like more of the lesser known one, the more cheap side because it is ready to move in and there really isn't furniture in there. And so I think that honestly there is a happy medium between all 4 mansions. So if you don't have Delta Valley and you don't have Brindleton Bay, you're stuck with the 2 here. But essentially all the builds that I technically build on video or on stream are basically uploaded to the gallery because people ask me, but also I just like uploading things to the gallery for you all to download. So if you end up downloading my save file in the future, whenever it's finished, which is literally almost done, I just have to do a bunch of, Oasis Springs, because Oasis Springs is that one world that I have a hard time really like gravitating towards. It's mainly the community lots that I'm dreading of doing. Like if I just like bite the bullet and just go ahead and just do the community lots, I'll be fine. I do need to build a gym and another museum. I have to finish the museum that I was working on a while back ago in Willow Creek. But basically, Willow Creek is already done. I just have to finish the park and the museum and then do Oasis Springs. And then Newcrest only has like 3 or 4 lots left. So I'm thinking of doing a bunch of like ready to move in large houses because the lot sizes are very big that I have left. And so I think I just might do that. Very starter home friendly for large families. Yeah, you know what? I just might just do that because that makes way more sense than anything else that I've ever done. And I'm looking forward to that because I don't know. I find that building in The Sims, but also like making a save file is so nerve-wracking and very stressful because you have all this stuff to you and all these things you have to do. because the way I'm doing it is customizing everything. The Sims, their aspirations, their careers, their skills, their friendships, their marriages, their, other things. But I'm also building everything. So it's like all of it's laid on me, but that's okay. I enjoy the process because I get to dive into the story because it's like, wow, I can do this, I can do that, I can do all these different things. And recently, I had built a vet clinic in The Sims 4 that you have not seen yet, but it's basically a vet clinic, or technically, it was a house converted into a vet clinic, and it was made by the Greenwood family. Now, the Greenwood family goes way, way, way back into like the 1800s. They've owned pretty much everything, not as much as the land grabs, of course, because they ain't that rich. But the Greenwood family owned a lot of property in Brindleland Bay, but they also kind of extended their profits to Willow Creek. Now, I'm thinking of probably making a family for this, but I don't want to move them in. But I'm still thinking what I want to do technically with all the families, the ones that are in the family bin, but also the Sims that are in their own houses. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking I might make a couple of the Greenwood family in different worlds. Like they certainly don't live in a world, or they live in like Willow Creek or just Brindleland Bay. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I don't have an idea just yet, but it's going to work. Trust me, it's going to work. But the house is finally coming together, and I'm really pleased with it because I came back at this maybe several months. Like it'll be like a year of this footage starting next month in October. And I built this in October, and I think I was going to make somewhat Halloween themed at first. I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's not do that. Not yet, not now. So I just waited. A part of me also thinks, was I? No, I remember this house now. I remember because, okay, to give you a context, if y'all don't know, I moved to my own first apartment last year. Like, it'll be a year in a couple days time. So by the time that you're seeing this video, it's September 12th right now at the moment. And I moved in here on September 17th a year ago. And I remember building this, but did I do this on stream? I really don't know what I did last year. Like everything last year in 2021 and 2020 is like a blur. I don't remember a single thing whatsoever, but I know I did this when I moved into this apartment. So it's very weird. Wow. Looking at old footage is so weird. Does anyone ever feel like they have all these photos and all these videos from like last year or like 2 years ago or 3 years ago even, and like ask yourself, wow, I really did that last year. I really accomplished a lot of things, but also I did certain things that I didn't think I actually did, but it happened. So like looking at this, I'm like, wow, I really built that mansion. Now I don't do that stuff no more because that stuff is crazy. I don't know who I was back last year, but I was on a roll doing some mansion builds. Like, mansion builds can't hold me down. Mansion builds don't scare me. Well, today I'm like, mansions? Who's that? Where are they from? They sound foreign and crazy and toxic. Not for me. But since then, though, I remember that we had so many base game updates in The Sims 4 since last year, which is kind of great because coming back to this mansion gave me an opportunity to like kind of update it a little bit, but also add a few extra things that we didn't have before. I did not add a bin. I don't think I added a bin to any of the bathrooms. So you're going to do that yourself. However, to be more realistic with the build, normally IRL mansions or houses in general don't have their own bin in bathrooms. They only have a dishwasher and maybe, just maybe, a garbage disposal in the kitchen. So personally, I think to be more realistic, there are no bins in the bathrooms. You add your own. That's your own Sims expense for themselves. But the kitchen, I believe I did add in a bin because that's normally what people do anyway. And I think like ready to move in houses, but also house tours. whatever they call when you go to our house, basically. They have, some stuff in there. They even have a trash can because people come and go, they have their own trash and they just dump in the trash can nearby. So I think that it just seems appropriate that way. Now, I know that I never really talk about the build, but this is something that I actually wanted to talk about just because I knew that it's been about a year since I've looked at this footage and I wanted to explain what I did with kind of being relatively very excited. And I think, honestly, for a video on my 1 year anniversary of me being in this apartment, I might build my IRL apartment layout in The Sims 4 because I think that'd be really cool for like a video or whatever. Either way, I had a lot of fun, but I was struggling so much on the bathrooms. Like this bathroom right here, this big giant bathroom, I was struggling because I didn't really know how to furnish it. Like I said, big rooms and big bathrooms and big houses, not my cup of tea because I lose track of what to put in a bathroom or a room and I just add in random stuff. So since it is a mansion and a big bathroom, a master bathroom, I felt like the sim who would live here or sims that would live here basically would have basically everything. A little console table, some prints, maybe an ottoman chair near their bathtub. They have all the things that they basically need to live the luxurious life that they want to deserve. Now, putting in paintings just didn't seem right to me, but I felt like it just added in that space to make it a little bit more easier said than done. But if you want to remove them that like take away the cost, go right ahead. But I don't think the house costs that much when it comes to like a single sim would be way too expensive, but maybe a family size of like 6 or more, I feel like you would have a lot more head on your shoulders. And if you want to be like realistic, like if your Sims cannot afford it, you can just do free real estate, but then pretend they took out a house loan and deduct the money of how much the house cost from their household funds, and you build it up over time. Or you can build a storyline where the Sims who live here own a multi-million-dollar business in multiple different worlds in The Sims 4, and they bought this property based off of what they earned from last year or the past season. And you can just kind of just do it that way. Add a little story to your Sims, make it more interesting for yourself, because most of the time I hear about people who play The Sims is they have a hard time with storytelling or a hard time with coming up with stories that sound interesting for their everyday gameplay, or they just lose interest. So like if you add like in a simple money value or a moving from one town to another town for a specific reason could really make a difference for your storytelling skills for your Sims gameplay. At least for me it does. But that's all I gotta say about that. But I think it'd be really good to go ahead and go into the real-time tour of the house build because I had a lot of fun building this house, and even though mansions are not my cup of tea to build because they're a lot to work with, it is fun to look back at the footage and see what I've done from last year to this year and how much has changed in the past couple of months. But let's see what the house looks like in game. But overall, this house has about 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. This is more of like the master bedroom and master bathroom. And I didn't really know what to do with this bathroom at all. And I don't know how to decorate bathrooms at all. But I think I made it make sense with adding, the toilet and the plunger. Of course, adding in the little tub and little sink area. I felt like the sim would be a single sim who would live here. So that's why it's only a single sink and not a double sink action. But this is the master bedroom. We got the long hallway with the hallway bathroom and the 3 kids' rooms over here. Now, whoever lives in this house, this could be whatever you want, change it however you want, of course. But I always thought, 3 kids would live on the other side of the house rather than on the same side as their parents. So 3 bedrooms here. And then we also have the big old, first floor. Now, each room is very different. For my idea, this is technically more so like the dining hall / library area. So this is where your dining room area is. This is like your big giant grand hall, living room, entertainment, dance hall over here. And this is like more of like a library mixed in with an office setting, mixed in with the playroom. It's however you want to interpret it, of course, but this is like my idea of how I would furnish the house, but that won't happen for another time for another video. But if you want me to furnish this house, let me know in the comments below, because I just might, because I have an idea, but I don't know how to execute it very well just yet. I might plan it out here and there. but we'll see in the end. But this is the other bathroom right here downstairs in the hallway near the living room. And then over here is the kitchen. Now, I was gonna add in an island, but I felt like it wasn't necessary at the time. But if you wanna add in an island, that's like an extra addition cost to the home. And I didn't wanna make it too expensive with all the furniture because I was using pretty much the expensive appliances that we have in the game, especially in the base game, because I know that this fridge only costs about 2,600 simoleons. I wasn't going to use the 14,000 simoleon fridge because that's ridiculous. Like, why is this fridge so expensive? I mean, for the swatches alone, it's fine, but like, why is it that expensive? Now, over here is technically the butler's quarter, and I was thinking of combining it as a butler's quarter mixed in with a recreational area or a fake garage. It's kind of however you want to interpret it, of course, but for me, a butler's quarter mixed in with recreational. I could have squeezed in a small little dinky bathroom like in this corner if I could have, and I probably should have, but I might do that later when I furnish the mansion, of course. But this is definitely the butler's quarter. They have enough space to put, you know, their bathroom, the living room, maybe like the small little kitchen, their bedroom, whatever they might have done, they can squeeze in here, of course. It's like your own small little studio apartment, which I think is really cute and amazing. But either way, as always, I do hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below as always, and be sure to go ahead and check out the videos down below of my previous 4 mansions that I've built in The Sims 4 with using various packs. But also make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!